morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We're on episode 170. We're going to be recapping the college football championship weekend. And then we also had the Selection Sunday just to damper my morning. And then we move on to the NFL. See how fantasy's going. I'm on a 7-game losing streak. Will we end up 8 going into the playoffs, which I will not be in? Then we're going to go into the real quick recap of the NFL where we got to finish with Tim's best bets. He's going for 4-0. Let's see what his results are. So let's get it started.
Yeah. I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Sox.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm here for Mardi Gras.
I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, I warm covers and warm. I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes. All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
Welcome back to Cover 2 Cook. We're on episode 170. I'm here with Anthony and Tim, and boy, was this weekend, I don't even know how to describe it. It was intense, disappointing, and exciting. It was all the emotions wrapped up in a little bow. So let's talk about how college football ended up with these championship games. We had Tulane win 34-21 to North Texas. James Madison won 31-14 over Troy. Texas Tech beat BYU 34-7. And Georgia beat Alabama 28-7. That was a spanking. And then we had Indiana beat Ohio State 13-10. Duke upset Virginia in overtime 27-20. Like, wow, there was some exciting games here. What was your biggest takeaway, Tim?
I think the Indiana-Ohio State game. I thought all the afternoon games with Georgia, Alabama, they were kind of boring. But it set us up for a very exciting evening game. I think the Indiana-Ohio State game was one I think will go down as one of the better games, Big Ten championship games I think I've seen in a long time. We're going to start out with Indiana. I think Mendoza is the Heisman. I think he just won it last time. I think he beat Sand hands down. He didn't have great numbers, 15 of 23, 222, one touchdown, one interception. Not great stats, but that throw he made to Charlie Becker in the third quarter down was a dime. I mean, that was one hell of a catch. And then he comes back in the fourth quarter to seal the game. He gets Becker again and seals the game. I thought that just showed you right there. All year, what he's done is made plays when he had to make plays. Yeah. And that's why he'll probably win the Heisman. On defense, they made Sand look like an average quarterback, really. The quarterback sneak that they had in the third quarter on the 5, and they shut that down. I mean, it was awesome. Their defense didn't allow – this is a key stat, too. I didn't notice this. They did not allow another point after that touchdown for 50 minutes.
Yep.
So 90% of the game after they got their scores, they didn't allow another point. That defense is for real for Indiana. I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with come playoff time. For Ohio State, their offense just looked like – Sand got sacked 5 times. Their offensive line did not look very good at all. Did not give him any time to set his feet and throw it. That has got to be cleaned up if they want to make a run in the playoffs. And on their defense, their quarterbacks got lit up. I mean, they – other than the one guy, everybody got lit up. So that's got to clean up too. I think they've got a lot to do, but we said that last year after they got beat Michigan. But they had more time to relax on this one. Now they'll have about the same amount of time, but they've got a lot of things to do because they got exposed big time from Indiana last night.
Now, Anthony, I want to get your side of this, but I have a question on top of it. Do you think that they were focused more on the Michigan game, that they didn't prep enough for Indiana, or did they probably prep enough and just got beat? What do you think?
I think Ohio State did everything that every regular college football fan did. They're not that good, right? They're not that good. And I don't think they prepared for them the right way. They ran the ball way too much. You have all these star wide receivers. Get him out of the pocket, throw the ball down the field. But I got to start with backing up a little bit on the Indiana. I said that Notre Dame could beat them, line it up. I don't believe that for a second. Indiana looked like a full team between special teams, defense, offense, everything was rolling for them, making field goals because that came down to this game. On the other side, I just felt like Ohio State just didn't come prepared. Like, it was one of those things where it was like, come on, get it going. When's it going to get going? And it never did. But maybe that's Indiana's game. We were waiting for a team to take Ohio State to the deep end and see if they would survive. Would they swim or would they drown? And they drowned. They drowned last night. That is a nervous thing. But like Mr. Tim Cook said, they lose to Michigan last year. Everyone's like, oh, they're done. And then they beat everyone by a mile in the college football playoffs. I would not be surprised. I think that's also why they didn't get too big of a movement in the college football playoffs when the selection came out. I thought they would drop down to 4. They did not.
Yeah, no, it was definitely surprising that they got second there.
Yeah.
Also, too, Anthony and Lisa, I think them beating Michigan last week took it all out of them.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to come back and play this Indiana team that is good. I mean, you've got to give their kudos. And I think they just, like I said, weren't prepared, and they looked like they were exhausted.
Yeah.
They just didn't have anything else left in them because it took so much energy to beat Michigan because they haven't beat them in 5 years. It just looked like they just were lethargic. They just didn't have it.
Yeah, it definitely could be a letdown game, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I think we have to give credit to Indiana because they put on so much pressure. And we were texting back and forth, and I said if they can keep getting pressure on that quarterback, this game's over. And it did. And I will say too, I want to say something you said as well. Fernando definitely Heisman, and only just on the aspect of how great he's been all year, but taking that hit on the first play. I mean, I thought he was done. And then he comes back and plays the rest of the game. They showed a picture of him, like his elbows all tore up. He's got bruises on him and still finished that game. Just, what a great win for them. I will say it felt like it was going to be Ohio State easily, and Indiana came in to surprise people.
Definitely. And it made it for a really good evening game for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Anthony, well, take us into how this college football playoff selection Sunday went. Some disappointment, but talk us through it.
Yeah, this could be some bullshit real quick. All right, starting off, number 1, Indiana, 2, Ohio State, 3, Georgia, 4, Texas Tech. We kind of knew that going into it. 5, Oregon versus 12, James Madison. 6, Ole Miss versus 11, Tulane. 7, Texas Tech versus 10, Miami. 8, Oklahoma versus 9, Alabama. So I'm going to start off with saying this. I have a Notre Dame hat on. I'm going to put my fan hat on, okay? Real quick. What changed from Tuesday? Nobody played yesterday. Miami didn't play. Notre Dame didn't play. So what the hell changed? Going back to week 1 defeats the whole eye test. They said that they had to go back and watch the game on week 1, and they said, isn't that what the eye test is for? You're seeing how the teams are playing now? So that cancels itself out. There's no reward because they beat us week 1 when we are the obviously better team than Miami. This should have been between Alabama and Miami. Now, I don't think teams should get penalized for playing in conference championships. But when you get spanked like that, you go back a point. Look at BYU. BYU gets beat and Miami jumps them and Notre Dame? What the hell's up with that? But Alabama stays at number 9? At number 9. They should have went to 10. And the debate should have been over Miami and Alabama. Why did Notre Dame have that situation? I will tell you right now, Notre Dame will retaliate on this situation. They will either schedule cupcake games, all 12 of them, and just beat teams by 70 and go undefeated and tell you, how are you going to let us out? How are you going to keep us out now? Because that's what this James Madison and that's what this Tulane situation is. You cannot tell me, college committee, that you are trying to put the best 12 teams in the playoffs. You're putting 12 teams that you can speak to. That's what this is. I don't understand how Notre Dame was ahead of them all up until this Sunday. That is complete bullshit. I will say that. Like, if Miami would have been in front of Notre Dame and we came to Sunday and Miami was there, it is what it is. But you had Notre Dame there and none of those teams played, and then you flip them. All right. That's my Notre Dame hat fandom. Now I'm going to switch over to the commissioner, okay? You shouldn't be penalized playing in championship games because if you do that, you will cause where these they exist. They don't exist anymore. Why even have the conference championships? Because you're going to get penalized. Why play in them? Oklahoma didn't. Ole Miss didn't. Oregon didn't. They didn't play in it. So why would Alabama get punished? Miami won the head-to-head versus Notre Dame, and that's what should matter. 100%. As a commissioner, Head-to-head has to matter. Whether it's week 1 or week 12, it has to matter. Because if it doesn't, then why play these games? Isn't that what the whole thing is, where it says best wins, okay losses? You have to play the game, and if they win, and it's between those two, they get in. Final thing, as a commissioner, I'm a complete idiot, and I'm making this shit up as time goes on, because there's no rules to this situation, and as, behind the other hat, Notre Dame fan, this thing was absolute chaos. And I think that's why we all tuned into it. But at the same time, to be at our effect doesn't make sense. Final thing, when I switch back over to Notre Dame, they have already said they're not going to play in the bowl game. It's not because they're sore losers. It's because that's what all the other teams are doing as well. We just heard that Kansas State ain't doing it. Iowa State ain't doing it. We have the number 1 and number 2 running back going into the draft. Focus on yourself, guys. Go get yourself right. Go get drafted. Make us proud on Sundays. We're rebuilding now to go for a national championship. I think it's complete bullshit what happened.
Wow. Thank you, Anthony and Mr. Commissioner. Thank you for your thoughts. Appreciate that. That was very insightful.
Yeah.
I also think it's complete bullshit. I think Alabama should have been penalized, especially with a loss like that. That's a big deficit, especially in that sense. So yes, I do think they should have been punished. Tim, let me hear your sense on this. You're also a Notre Dame fan, so how do you feel like this rallied out?
Well, here's the deal. Alabama gets it. No team has ever gotten into the playoffs with 3 losses, except for this year. Now we're going to give it to Alabama. Don't get me wrong. They went through a gauntlet. They won 8 in a row. But did we even think of the fact that they lost to Florida State?
Yep.
I don't think we did. I don't think that was even a consideration. It's where they played at. It's what league they played in. I don't think that was even a consideration. I just think, Duke winning hurt Notre Dame.
Yep.
That hurt it. Because they said that if Virginia wins, then you could have done all 3 of them. Alabama, Miami, and Notre Dame is in if Virginia wins. That ACC conference is a joke. Miami probably should have been playing. Now, let's say Miami should have been playing in the ACC championship. If they would have won, which we don't know, then there's no complaints. You can't.
Yep.
Notre Dame can complain about nothing because they got that one extra game. They won. They're in. They're in. And that's how with the Duke winning. Now that puts JM. And I will go back to this. Have the best 12 teams in the playoffs. Quit around with this. Well, we want to get everybody involved.
Yep.
No. We don't get everybody involved. If you ain't got a good enough record or you're not playing in a good enough league, then get in another league. That's what everybody else is doing. That's why USC went to from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. It's just I don't get it. And then the committee saying that, well, we have to look at the whole picture of this deal. Neither team played Miami or Notre Dame.
Yep.
So you should have known that. Well, and then BYU loses. So you didn't. I didn't agree with what that deal. You have a different perspective about. I'm kind of old school. Play the game. Go get in the bowl, okay? Notre Dame, come on.
No.
You're pouting. That's pouty shit, and that's wrong. If the players hold out like Love, Price, whoever wants to hold out and get ready for the NFL, go right ahead. I don't care about that. But at least play the bowl game. And I think that's the sore deal is that you announced this 3 or 4 hours after they decided to not put you in. You've already made that decision.
Yeah.
I didn't like that, Anthony. I'm sorry. I did not like that because that's not fair to the other. I don't know how many's on scholarship. 70, 80 kids. You mean to tell me 70, 80 kids went, yeah, we don't want to play? Because here's the deal too. Notre Dame is also hurt by doing this because then you get the extra practice time, and you get a game. So now you're not in practice at all. So that's stupid on that part too as well. I don't like that. I didn't like that.
But practicing for what? For a single game?
For a bowl game, yes.
But stop. Your roster's done. It's over. This year's over. So why play in a bowl game and get all the incentives to this company that's going to sponsor it, whether it's Pop-Tarts or whatever,
right,
to get Notre Dame's national brand, but the college football committee felt that the national brand and their playing wasn't good enough to get in the top 12 teams? No. You don't get your cake and eat it too. So then guess what? If Notre Dame ain't in the top 12, we're not playing. And it's not like they're the only team that's done this. Kansas State, like I said, Iowa State, there's naming teams that are saying, we're not doing the bowl game because there's a lot of bullshit that comes behind it. And I agree with Notre Dame. And you know what? I think this is a punishment to the committee because you can't do what you just did and think that we're going to be like, okay, yeah, we'll play by your rules. No, we're not playing by your rules anymore. And I think, if anything, it just solidified why they'll stay independent. And if Alabama is going to throw a fit or SEC is going to throw a fit when it comes to how they're going to do this, then Notre Dame has every right to do the same thing. So you schedule the cupcakes, schedule the ACC going forward because that's the cupcakes anymore. Schedule ACC and just stomp them. But this, again, comes down to Freeman and Notre Dame. You can't lose those two games.
I agree.
So I want to push the blame to everything else, but at the same time, you had winnable games that you lost, and then you couldn't make it up with the rest of the schedule. You have to stop doing that, Notre Dame. You have to. Because if not, then you need to schedule like Alabama does and play all these good games, and hopefully you have 3 losses, and that'll get you in because, man, your strength of schedule is so hard. So...
yeah, when I seen that, I just shook my head like, come on, guys. I think maybe it's because it's the wound was still already open, and now when you say, okay, well, we're just not going to play. We're just taking our ball and going home. Well, that's just kind of like putting the knife in and turning it. It's just like, come on. I mean, at least take a day about it to think about what you're going to do, not fucking 3 hours later or 4 hours later. I didn't like that. I just didn't like, and if Kansas State, Iowa State want to do that, I get that why they don't. They suck this year. Notre Dame was pretty good. So, I still think the practice time is key.
And here's the other thing, too. If you don't play in this game, you'll never know. And what I mean by that is if they go play, like I already saw that BYU is playing Georgia Tech in the Pop-Tart Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. If they're playing each other and Georgia Tech beats up on BYU, well, that's why you didn't get in the playoffs.
Right.
If Notre Dame plays in a game where their starters are not playing because they're going to the draft and we lose this game, people are going to be like, it's the same thing that Florida State that year. They got left out and then they got beat 70-0 because none of the players played. And then people were like, well, this is why you weren't in the playoffs. And it's not a good representation. Notre Dame finished this season beating teams by the average of 30 points in the last 10 games. That's enough said. They should have been in the playoffs. You can't tell me you're putting the top 12 teams in because this is, again, where the James Madison, Tulane, and all that other shit. I'm still saying Oklahoma, Alabama, and Miami are not better than Notre Dame. And I honestly would even go to Oregon is not better than Notre Dame. Right. So, and
here's the deal, Anthony. Do you think in 5 years that Notre Dame's in a conference? Because I think that's what the committee is forcing them to do is get in a conference. We're tired of your BS being independent and taking all the money and going home and putting it back in your pockets and not sparing it out to a conference. We want you to join a conference, plain and simple.
Yeah, I don't think they will because I think if they thought they were getting heat because Miami wasn't in the playoffs, this won't stop. And next year when we get to this time, Notre Dame fans will bring this shit up again. Even if they have a 2-in-whatever season, they're going to bring up that like they dominated it. And there was no winning situation for them because if you left Alabama out, then you're saying conference championships don't matter. Who plays in it? If you keep Miami out, then you're saying, and that's why I said as a commissioner, head-to-head has to matter.
Yep.
But then you let out Notre Dame when you put them ahead of them. And I think Chris, the person for College Game Day, said it perfectly. He asked the commissioner, and he said, or the president or whatever, and he said, were they not in the same group last week? And he was like, yes. So what changed?
Right.
What changed? Because if you knocked down BYU, then why didn't you knock down Alabama? I would have been okay today if Miami was 9 and Alabama was 10. Because then that tells me it was between Alabama and Notre Dame. But instead you made it the head-on-head. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and they knocked down Ohio State after losing, too. So
they only knocked them down one spot, which I was kind of I agreed. I was kind of shocked they only went one.
Yeah. And I'll say this, too, because I wanted to add this 2 cents when you guys were talking about, the top 12, best top 12 teams. Like, if it just kind of seems BS to me that Tulane and JMU are going to be in there when that's going to be a stomping of a game. Like, it's just not going to be a good game.
I will say this. We will have to walk this back if one of those 2 teams win.
Sure.
I don't think they're going to.
Prove me wrong. But
or it's a competitive game.
Yes.
It comes out to the
Bring it
fourth
on.
quarter. Right.
Absolutely. I'll take that. I'll eat those words. Fine. But like from what I'm seeing and from what teams got left out, it's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, and this is where Kirk said this is where it leads to 16 teams and all this stuff. It doesn't matter. Every year we're going to have teams on the bubble that complain about not getting in, because even if you went to 16, who gets left out? Vandy?
Yeah.
Right.
Like Texas? Like you're still
Right.
10-3, and then you got Alabama there with 3 losses. Texas is like, what the hell?
Well, and
Yeah.
if anything, yeah, you're like elongating the amount of drama because now
Yes.
there's more slots that people are fighting for. 100%.
And I think the biggest thing is you just got to take out this, like, we want to be fair to everyone. I
Yes.
100% agree. Tulane and James Madison, like, and I think the game that could be close is Tulane and Ole Miss. They already played each other this year, 45-3, but that was under Lane Kiffin. I
Right.
think that one's going to bring up a question mark. If Ole Miss wins, it's different, but
Say that score again.
like 45-3 or 45-7, or they
Yeah,
spanked.
it was by 5 touchdowns. What they said today
Yeah.
on College Game Day, or the
Yeah.
committee show games, or
Yeah.
committee show.
Oh my
So-
gosh, that's
Yeah. So and that's the thing. And you're going to have Oklahoma and Alabama play again. They've already played each other this year. I think Texas Tech is going to destroy Miami. And then like these first games don't even seem appetizing. And that's the problem is as a fan, I know my team's not playing, so it's just a little bit harder. And it does suck. The one thing I will say too real quick is you saying them pulling out, it does suck that we won't get one more game. But we wouldn't have got one more game of the team that we saw play the last 10 games. Because if I'm Love, if I'm Price, if I'm all those guys, it's time to go make my money. Like, not just NIL money, my NFL money.
Right.
Oh, all right. Well, that was our discussion about the College Selection Sunday. Very intense, very drama filled. Please let us know your thoughts. Now, let's shift over into NFL. Boys, how are the fantasy going? Are we doing well? Are we not doing well? We have to beat this losing streak, Anthony. How are we doing?
Yeah, so I got punched in the nuts when Notre Dame got let out. And then just to make sure that we got both testicles, we went back for another punch because I barely scored 100 points this week. I've scored over 125 points every week. This week I score 109. Yeah, not a good day. Honestly, the game started at noon and I didn't even look at my lineup. So that's on me. It's on me at all. But like, 8 in a row. The 2 people that were in front of me, they just won this week. So now they're 2 games up on me, but we go into this little toilet bowl bracket. So yeah, I'm the biggest loser of the regular season with second most points in my league. So second most, and I will end up being the biggest loser.
Wow. That's just something to write about.
That's called karma. That's karma
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
All right, Tim. Well, I mean, hopefully you're doing better than Anthony. I mean, you got to hold us on tight here.
Yeah, I'm 7-6. I'm up by 58, but he's got 5 players still to play. I have 1, Kamali Vidal, which I hope he goes off tonight. He's got 5, include Patrick Mahomes, which he's playing tonight too. Or I think that's Monday. It's Monday night that Vidal's playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched the show Fantasy Football Focus on ESPN, and they say, "Oh, play Jaden Daniels. Play Jaden Daniels. He's going to." Yes, 2 fucking points. 2 points. I benched Tyler Show. What's he got? 21.
Yep.
So I out-thunk myself. So if I lose by 19, I deserve to lose by 19 because I out-think myself.
Yep.
So shame on me.
Yeah, because you said you were going to go with him until
I did.
Saturday. He came clean that he was going to play, and then I called you this morning, and you're like, "I'm going Jaden," and I'm like, first off, it was going against Minnesota's defense, which is
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah.
But like, if you would have played Tyler, you know that he wouldn't have had the game he did.
You're
He
right.
had him because you had him on his bench. That's the
Yeah.
only reason. He knew it.
I
He
should
said,
have stuck with what he had and
Yeah.
just did it. And I
said-
knew that, and I out-thunk it, and that's what happens when you start out-thinking it.
you had Tyler wake up this morning and said, Tim Cook's going to take me off his roster?
Yeah,
Let me
both
look
of them.
what's happening.
Yeah, I'll show him. All right, for sure.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, best of luck there. Hope you can pull it out there. We need this win on this team right here. Because Anthony's out holding up his side.
Not so much.
Well, let's move into some of our takeaways. Tim, what is your takeaways from today?
I'm going to talk a little bit about the Thursday night game, Detroit and Dallas. For Dallas, Pickens, a no-show. After CD went down, CD was having a hell of a game. He only ended up with 37 yards. It just seemed like he didn't. This guy wants to get his bag for next year. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if he pulls a bullshit playing like he did Thursday night, he ain't getting nothing. Because it looked like there was one play where I seen Dak threw the ball down the field. He did have two guys on him. He slowed up and stopped.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I mean, I think he's not going to be a number one anyway. There's no way. I mean, he's going to be CD's the number one there. If he stays there, he can never be a number one because he'll be another AJ Brown where he'll just pout and we're getting the ball and so whatever. But on defense, they had no answer for Gibbs. 19 carries, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, too many turnovers on deep. The defense regressed. I'm done talking about Dallas for playoff team. Hey, they're done. They're out.
Yep.
Okay, no more. For the Lions, Gibbs is a stud. If he's not your number one pick next year in fantasy, shame on you. If you've got the number one pick, he should be your number one pick next year. He is a stud. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can rush it. On defense, 30 points, man. That's too many. I mean, their defense has got to – Detroit's defense has got to straighten out because that's too many points. Your secondary got lit up again. You allowed 376 yards of passing, but you didn't come up with no interceptions. Hey, Lions, if you want to still be in the playoffs, that offense is elite, but your defense isn't very good.
Definitely agree.
Okay. All right. Anthony, what did you feel about this game?
Yeah, I think CD's injury took the Cowboys done. First off, the injury was not just a concussion. I mean, it knocked him out. He had the straight arms, fingers going crazy. I hope he comes back. I do have him on fantasy, which is unfortunate to CD because if I have someone, that means they're either going to get severely injured or they're going to have a really bad season. But yes, I think on the other side, Detroit, this was a must-win game. They showed up when they needed to. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is a great player, but would not be my first overall draft because as long as they still have David Montgomery and splitting reps, I would rather take Chris McCaffrey that's getting number one reps all the time. But Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. If he can get going, they can get that offense going the way they are. But I think Dallas's defense went back to reality, and that's what happened. They couldn't stop the run. Yeah. Isn't that why you got Williams? To stop the run? And you got a linebacker too? No. So Dallas is done. Detroit's still a chance, but I'll tell you right now, NFC North looks good. That game later this afternoon was pretty good.
Absolutely. Okay, Tim, well, take us into your second takeaway from today.
The New Orleans-Tampa Bay game. For the Saints, Tyler Show had a hell of a game. 144 yards passing, 55 yards rushing, 1 interception. That 34-yard rushing touchdown, he got out of on the defensive end and scrolled around and got in for that touchdown. That's correct. I mean, I think they've got their quarterback. I don't see him going after another one. I think he's going to be the guy. Their defense stepped up and made plays against Baker Mayfield. Yeah. He made him a living hell. Held Baker to 122 yards of rushing, interception, no TDs for the Bucs. They could convert on 4th downs. Yeah. That was the big key on that one. On defense, they couldn't stop Tyler Show. And now they are tied with Carolina, and they play each other 2 times in the next 4 weeks.
Yep.
We're going to see what Tampa Bay's made of. They better get it figured out if they want to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So this is a bad loss. This is the bad loss in your conference or in your division at home. Yep. Them are too bad. You needed to win this one if you want to make a run.
No, I agree, especially when we were watching Red Zone, and I'm seeing the Saints scoring a lot, but I'm not seeing Tampa Bay scoring. So, no, yeah. I totally agree with you there. They definitely look like they shut out Baker. Anthony, what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, real quick, field conditions were absolutely awful. They talked about it multiple times on the Red Zone, that the players couldn't get traction, things like this. I also think the Ibuka non-catch where he dropped it in the end zone, where it hit off his helmet, that was to tie it up. The Saints played just out of their mind to beat them today. But at the same time, Carolina is for real. So if you don't show up, they got a solid defense. They're gonna come after you with everything they got. So I still think Tampa makes it to the playoffs. I think Carolina finds a way to choke. Don't trust Bryce Young, but bad loss for Tampa today.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, Anthony, well, give us a quick recap of what else happened in the NFL today.
Yeah, let's fly through this real quick. Dolphins beat New York Jets today, who had a third slotted quarterback in at one point, 34-10. Steelers outlasted the Ravens 27-22. Ravens were damn near sleepwalking today. Should have won this game. Colts lose Daniel Jones with an Achilles injury and lose to the Jags as well, 36-19. Jags are now leading the division. Cam Ward versus Shadur Sanders would result in the number 1 pick. Cam Ward winning 31-29 over the Browns. Browns defense was not as dominant as usual in this game. The Vikings win 31-0. First team in a long time to get shut out one week and then shuts out the other team. 9 was activated today. That's his alter ego, J.J. McCarthy. On the other side, Jaden Daniels leaves this game early with another injury, and Zach Ertz leaves on a horrible injury, kind of a dirty hit where he blew out his knee. Seahawks picked on Cousins today to win 37-9. I'm sure not really sure why teams don't guard Jackson Smith-Njigba. Like, it just seems like he's always open. Probably to guard him. Josh Allen today said, "Hold my beer," as a huge second half, or he would have a huge second half that would lead the Bills to win over the Bengals 39-34. Denver would keep the train moving with a win over the Raiders 24-17. Rams pulled out their belts and whooped the Cardinals today 45-17. And then the final game, Packers would outlast the Bears 28-21. Great game. But I said on the last drive, right before that last drive happened, I said Caleb Williams was playing great. But this drive will be a learning opportunity for him. Either he's going to do well and he's going to learn from how to be in control, or he's going to do something dumb. He does something dumb, throws it into the end zone. No reason for that one. Packers would win this game. We still have the Texans versus Chiefs tonight on Sunday night. And then we have Eagles versus Chargers on Monday Night Football. Also tune into Disney Plus, as there will be a Monster Inc. thing. I always think those are really cool to do because it gets kids more involved in it. Football is a sport that we do need kids playing it to learn how to play it. So, but that is the recap of the NFL Sunday.
Yes, definitely a lot of good games there. And like you said, the Packers and Bears games went right up to the end. Very nail-biting game. So definitely a good afternoon game. Tim, what was one takeaway from all of this that you took with you?
Bears, you've got to play better in the first half. What would they have total yards? 70? Or maybe he only had 70 total yards. He's got to play better than that. That killed them because you're down 14-3. That he's got to play better in the first half. Because in the second half, they've got actually Ben Johnson made some correction on him.
Yeah.
He got him out of the pocket, got him throwing the ball down the field, started moving a little bit more, and that offense was totally different. They were using that with Swift and McGunn, and they were actually doing really good. I don't know if he would have made that fourth down by him running the ball, because there was 3 guys right there. I don't know if he gets that first down. I know the commentator's like, well, why didn't he run it? There was 3 guys right there.
Yeah.
And that throw was like, that wasn't even close. But on fourth down, you got to do something. I get it. I don't know if I probably would have tried to run it, but I don't think he would have gotten it. There was too many guys around there. But that slow start in the first half for the Bears, that's the killer. You can't have that against that Packers defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, you kick the ball out. I mean, the Packers score. They kick the ball off, and the guy doesn't kick it in the zone. So you give the ball to the 40 to the Bears. There was 2 or 3 times where either the Bears or the Packers were starting on the 40. Well, fuck, you get a couple first downs, you're in field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the 2-point conversion they went for. Why not? I mean, it got them within 7. I think they're there. They're almost there. The Packers are really good, especially at home. And Love didn't make. I mean, he had 1 interception, 3 touchdowns. He was making some. I mean, the one he just threw up in the end zone. I'm like, oh my god, that was just. But that's. Now you know where you're at, Chicago.
Yep.
You know how good this is the team. This is your baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need to know how, because that defense didn't play bad. I didn't think today. I mean, they give up some big chunk yards, but they're a bend but don't break kind of defense anyway. Yeah. So I mean, that was just a killer, and I think he'll learn from that. But this was a winnable game for the Bears. I think I really did. If you don't have that slow start in the first half, and they play a little bit better, I think they would have won it.
Yeah, and I would say this too. Like, obviously, the best outcome today would have been the Bears winning. Yeah. But competing and going down to the end of the game with the Packers at Green Bay, that's a win. That's a win. Like, you're going to go through a gauntlet of hard games. You already beat the Eagles. You lose on a last-second drive that you could have possibly, scored or whatever. I still think they're in the hunt. I would choose the Bears over the Lions right now if it was a college football committee. But you know what? They'd probably choose the Vikings or some shit. So.
Well, and don't knock yourself short, because we're going to see the Packers and Bears play each other again real soon here. Maybe I think it's just in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
On Saturday night. Saturday night, yeah.
So
Also,
we'll see them play again in Chicago.
Right. And the Cleveland game, Cleveland, Tennessee, they score. They're down 2. And Shedeur Sanders is not even on the field.
Yeah.
He's on the sideline. What the hell are you doing, Stefanski? Are you kidding me? Are you not wanting to win or what? I mean, you can. The camera went to Shedeur, and he's just like, well, "What do you want me to do?" He took me out. They did like a flea flicker. Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I will say Shedeur had a huge game.
Yeah.
Like, Cam Ward looks good. There's times where he looks good. Shedeur looked good today. There was some times where he didn't, but big step up for him.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, let's move over to Tim's best bets results. How are we doing? We go and get that 4-0 this week?
Well, I tell you what, if Virginia could win, you're only giving 3.5. You can't even beat them in overtime. And Duke could give you that game. And Ohio State, what are you doing? Come on. So that's my 2 losses. I did have Jacksonville winning today. I had the money line, so I had the plus money line. And I've got tonight's game, Houston and Kansas City. I've got the Texans and getting a 3.5. So I'm going to be a Texas fan tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got your name on the line.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say, too, the Texans, if they win tonight, they pretty much knock out Kansas City. It's like now down to like a single digit. They're not going to come back. But that is episode 170, where we talked about college football and NFL. And then we talked about Tim's best bets, where he went 1-2, but could go 2-2 after tonight. If you like what we do, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those as well. We'll be back on Wednesday, where we're kind of recapping the Sunday and Monday night games. Don't really have much college football, as we now are into the playoffs, but playoffs take a week. We have Army-Navy. We'll talk about that closer to Friday, but not much college football, more of an NFL focus. So if you like NFL, tune into that episode as well. But we want to thank you guys. Have a great start to your week, and we will talk to you on Wednesday.